Today I'm going to unbox the Wen 36725 circular saw. Let's get started. I just bought this today at Menards. The reason why is that I could use a new circular saw. And I'll show you my old one. This is a hand-me-down that I got about 25 years ago. And if you look closely, let me see if I can get this into one of the cameras. Yes, this really is a JCPenney circular saw. You know, the problem with circular saws is that they blow a lot of dust, and none of them, at least in the States, really have dust collection. So look at this. A dust collection port. So let's see what we got here. I got this at Menards for $42. It was well reviewed on Amazon and definitely more money on Amazon. And then there's that theoretical 11% rebate. I've never gotten a Menards rebate. I mean, I've tried, but they've never actually sent one to me. So let's see what we got here. We've got the saw and what's in here? Guide. That's it. Just open this up real quick. Yeah, some type of a straight edge guide and something dust port related. It's a little windy. Let me stick that there. The Allen key. Instructions. Looks like a steel base. We'll check that out with a magnet real soon. 24 tooth blade. Who knows what kind of blade it is? I'm not expecting much. I'm going to swap in one of my Diablo blades. And let's put a magnet on it. So definitely a steel base. There's a dust port adapter. Yeah, for $42 you're not going to get a magnesium base, but it seems flat enough to run a guide against. Let me get a straight edge. Well, it's hard to tell for sure, but I'm not entirely sure that this is square, because I am getting some light showing through. There's a little bit of light that shows through when I put the straight edge against it, but what are we going to do? Plastic knobs, I mean, you're not going to get much. You have to kind of manage your expectations with this, but I think it's a big step up from a JCPenney. I hope it is. And let's swap out the blade. I've got the base down. I know I saw, yeah, there is a lock here. Let's take this off. I'm going to put this 40 tooth blade on. Nice, nice Diablo here.
This is a pine board that I picked up at Menards. I've marked a line 3 inches in to make the cut. I'm having trouble with this because I just haven't done this before, and so I'm just flying blind, but eventually I got it lined up as best I could. So here's the collection adapter, which fits right in. And let's hook up our hose. And yeah, this ain't gonna work. It would work like that, but that's the opposite of what we need. Okay, let me see if the larger hose will fit. Actually, this is the adapter that I have, and no, that's not going to work. The larger hose I don't like using because it's not as long and it's really stiff, and yeah, it fits, but it's got, with this weight, it's just pulling this right out. So this may end up a bit of a disappointment. All right, well, we've gone this far. Let's just see what happens. Well, I haven't used a circular saw in forever, and I didn't realize that the saw was going to get stuck on one of my clamps. So, yeah. And then later, I took the clamp off, and it seemed like the saw, like the blade guard, was catching on the wood, which kind of annoyed me. So we're going to fast forward to the second cut. Adjusting the height wasn't great. The plastic parts don't give a lot of confidence for longevity. They just don't feel strong. Everything painted black made it hard to read the markings, and the depth markings are metric anyways. So here's what I mean about the black paint being difficult to see, and it was the end of the day, the sun was going down, so it was even darker. And the markings are in metric, which is fine, but if you're used to dealing in inches, you got to think, okay, 25 millimeters to an inch. And the plastic parts for tightening things down, they just feel like they're not going to last. So here's a picture I took with a flash, and that's kind of what it takes to really see what you're working with unless you have good direct light. Again, it felt like the blade guard was catching on the wood, and I had to manually move it. After that, the saw was cutting pretty good. I was going slow because I don't really know what I'm doing. And then as I got to the end of the piece, the motor housing came up against the clamp, so I couldn't finish the cut. Yeah, I'll be watching some YouTubes on circular saw techniques. Trying to see if there was any wobble there. Alright, so the end wasn't clean because I hit this. I imagine that's on any circular saw. Let's otherwise check for a good cut. It did feel like the saw was wobbling. I don't see any daylight. I mean, there is this little piece here I'm going to have to pick off, but otherwise, even though it felt like it was wobbling, just the tiniest hint of light when I throw it up against the light in the garage. Alright, some sawdust here, but I'm sure this caught plenty. So there you go.
Not bad for 42 bucks.